Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Suavecito Vintage Drums. Thank you for waiting around for me. I know I was gone for a few months, but life got really busy. I'm back now, and I'm going to be putting a bunch of new information out for you guys. And today, we're going to be talking about how I get the majority of my information, where I get my information, who I get it through, how I got into this hobby. First off, I get my information from these books that I have here, okay? I have this one right here called the Ludwig book. The Rogers book. The Leedy book, and I will be coming back to this one. This one right here that helps you date Ludwig. This one over here that helps you with some dating information on Gretsch. And the Great Gretsch book, Gretsch drum book. I first found out about these books while listening to the Drum Restoration podcast. That's what got me to purchase at least the first one through Rob Cook. All of these were written by Rob Cook. They have a lot of history, man. They go from the beginning of the company for Ludwig, or all of these, all the way to their last print date for this version of Ludwig that I have here is like the early 2000s, somewhere around there, which is fine by me because I'm really only interested in like the early stuff. Rob Cook, who actually is the author of all of these books, has dedicated himself to, helping us understand and learn about the history of all these great American drum companies. He is also the guy who started the Chicago Drum Show. I've been flying from LA over to Chicago to the show, I don't know, maybe 3 times, maybe 4 times I've been out there. I dig it, man. I go out there, I get to meet a lot of these now YouTubers, a lot of these collectors, a lot of these local companies from, well, not local companies from around the country that show up, all these little shops that show up, and I actually get to like meet some of the owners, see what they're all about, and they bring a lot of their product over. If you haven't had a chance, man, I would recommend going. It's in May. It's right outside of Chicago now because it's grown kind of big. It's in one of the neighboring cities, and it's a blast, man. I got to go the last year that Rob Cook was running it. He handed it off to a different drum company out of Chicago. I cannot remember the name right now. I'll make sure to post it on the video, but now there's a whole different family running it, and they have a drum and guitar shop in Chicago. They were passing out the last year that Rob ran it. They were passing out these little black buttons that said thank you, Rob, on there. It was really, really cool. I got to meet the man a couple times, so that if you do want to collect, if you do want to sell, if you do want to restore, you have the proper literature to go by. These books are super cool, man. They'll go by what they used to call the different outfits, like all the different drum sets, picture by picture of at least like what era they were, what they looked like, so that you can identify the drum sets or the drums that are, or the snare drums, whatever that you want to work on or restore, or just try to find so that you can complete a drum set. I actually started because there's a guy here, really good guy. He owns a company called On the Edge Drums. He's very close to the old Fender factory out in Corona. I used to go out to him to get, drums wrapped, drums cut, the edges redone. And it was to the point where, like, the guy's a great guy, but drive-wise, it was just getting to be too much. So I would talk to him, and he'd be like, hey, look, if you want to continue doing this, if you want to make any type of money, you got to start learning how to do it yourself, so that if I do get a drum on Reverb or eBay that is worth restoring, it's still worth it at the end, right? Because if I have to pay someone to redo the edges, to rewrap it and do all this work, there's no real bargain in buying a drum that isn't in mint condition or in playable condition. Started picking up these books. I started looking at YouTube channels on the woodworking side, learning about the bearing edges, what angles they would cut on them. And then I got on Craigslist and just started looking for parts. I found an old Craftsman router that came with a table. I eventually ended up building a larger table with a larger piece of wood, and mounted it just so that I could do the larger drums. And I got a scrap piece of wood, and I practiced routing the edges, the roundovers, and then like getting the correct angles so that they would meet and butt up and work. And once I felt comfortable with doing that, I got a cheap drum set and I started cutting it. I cut it down, and I made it work. Obviously, you know, there's a learning curve, but it was well worth it, because now I feel comfortable enough to, you know, do all my own edges. Yes, I have ruined some stuff, you know, that comes with learning. The first really big mistake I made was going to Harbor Freight and picking up some router bits. Although they worked fantastic for a while, they don't keep their edge, and they ended up chipping. I ended up running a drum through that router blade with the chip, and it ended up tearing the wood. So I ended up having to like pull it out, cut it shorter, and then redoing it. Luckily, it was my own drum. After that, I went out and bought a high-end router bits. When it came time to do raps, I went with Precision Drum, because their wrap is just good. You can tell the quality, the way it glues down. The thickness of the wrap is better than another wrap that I've used, where it was just a little thin and it wouldn't glue down as well. Once again, I learned from watching other YouTubers. I learned that through their mistakes, because they're cool enough to post their mistakes. Stick around and continue this like little YouTube trip with me. To all my supporters and all the people out there who, you know, all three, like just short of 300 people who follow me, thank you very much.